Okay, welcome. My name's Moonlight the Mystic, and I'm a spiritual activist and creative intuitive. And I would like to present something today um, that just offers uh, a different perspective, a different way of looking at something. Um, is what we need. Because I think that there are energetic patterns of consciousness that um, keep us stuck, and there's energetic patterns of consciousness that allow for us um, to become more liberated within our own heart energy and within our own heart consciousness. So, a lot of freedom, when we think about freedom, we perceive it through a specific lens that says, well, freedom is about, um, we have to, like someone else has the power. Therefore, in order to have freedom and true freedom, then we need to somehow take back the power. The thing is, power, things like, let's say power, for example, there are different energetic patterns of consciousness towards power. Okay. Um, some people can look through a lens and perceive power to be one thing, whereas others can look through the lens and see power as something completely different. What we are transitioning through is that we are releasing old energetic patterns of consciousness about things like power, control, um, yeah, things of that nature, let's say. And we're moving into new ones, which are more based. We need to look at what power is from a spiritual perspective, because if we are not accessing um, power through that spiritual principle, then we become imbalanced. Okay, and that's what leads to corrupt power and things of the like. There are those out there, we'll call them the 1% or whatever the statistic may be, um, that that view power through the lens that to have one to have to have power, one must one must present um, an illusion, or present something on the external, all the while covering up. That presentation is covering up actually what's happening on the internal, or behind the scenes. Now, so we can um, we can see those energetic dynamics um, of power, when for the individual that believes that the more the other doesn't know about what I'm doing, the more power I have over them, because they don't know what I'm really up to, or what my intention is, or whatever. And so they perceive power in that way. And then and so there's a quest for power that then must be hidden. And so we're going to look at the dynamic of power and the dynamic of control, because the two are linked. And there are those out there that believe that they don't have power unless they have control. and so and so we've been presented, energetically, spiritually, whatever you want to call it, we've been presented with a perspective of our world, and how power works, and how trust works, and all these sorts of things. And we've been given this perspective from that it's come from the the governing mind that sets all these systems, energetic systems and structures in place to reinforce the perspective. So, and then once everyone um, has the perspective, then they begin to reflect that perspective energetically, and through the consciousness, and through their energetic transmission. And so and so we are, as a collective, running a program about power, and we are running a program about control, and we're running a program also about acceptance, and we're running a program also about surrender. And those programs about acceptance and surrender, and those sorts of things, those are the programs that we are going to begin to discover um, through the discovery of self, through the heart evolution. The evolution of the heart energy leads us into um, more expansive perspectives of consciousness, of energy, of what we are, of how how we turn up in the world. We are the soul energy of the world. We are part of that soul energy. When we are look for the self, we're all doing that. We're all looking for the self. The self is within, of course, but also we are the collective self. We are the reflection of one another. Okay, and so whatever program is running, we that's what we're dealing with. We need to start to look at our world from a spiritual perspective, because there are spiritual principles that need to be established within the reflection of our world. There needs to be balance, and there needs to be trust. And so um, these things are brought into the existence of our world through our own energy, because we are the transmission. We are channelers. We are the transmission. We are the transmitters. We are the ones that hold the heart energy. That is the place of creation. That's where everything is either integrated or released or whatever. It all comes up and out of the heart energy. And so, because of this, we we as a collective are finding a different form of speak, and I call this spiritual speak. Spiritual speak is when we begin to connect to the spiritual language, which is the language of the heart. Okay, and when we can connect to that heart energy, and we can begin to speak, we can begin to connect um, to those um, the the spiritual heritage that is connected to us, the spiritual world that is connected to us, um, the guidance, the higher mind, um, the way forward, all these sorts of things. They come out of heart energy, and so the evolution of heart energy is about us discovering energetic dynamics and patterns of energetic dynamics that exist within our world, and discovering the ones that we want to hold on to, and the ones that we want to let go of. Because ultimately, until we actually realize that, yes, we are the consciousness, and yes, we are the energy, we are the energy and the consciousness of the world. We are the collective. We are the collective heart. We are the collective consciousness. Okay. So when we begin to move into a position where we are creating an interconnected transmission of energy and of consciousness that belongs to the governance of the spiritual principle. These are the principles by which we live. That we bring the shift. So we're no longer living by fear, living by resistance or judgment. We live by the spiritual principle. Yes. So 10 minutes in and I'm just going for it. So number one, these are some notes that I've written, and I'm trying to access the way in which I teach, the way in which I can transmit um, these principles so that we as the collective can begin to unite as a collective, as a body, as a heart, and as a house. And can begin to introduce the way in which we want to see our new world, and that's about vision, and we're going to talk about that in here too. So in the world of shadow, power is a psychological game. It's a psychological game anyway. That's um we're all scrambling for power, and but we're actually afraid of our power. And so when we hold on to one paradigm about power, it's because there's something in us that it's more comfortable to do that. If that makes any sense. um Accepting that we are powerful, accepting that we actually need them to take responsibility for what we're creating, and all those sorts of things. So that is what it means to begin to awaken. You're awakening to um, the responsibility that we are awakening to, the responsibility that we each have, mhm, in the creation of our world. And it's important stuff. It's really important. So, in the world of shadow, power is a psychological game that relies upon the perspective that one cannot have power unless one has complete control. Okay. And what is control? Well, here's the thing. Control is the illusion. It's the illusion. Why? Yeah. Has complete control. Yeah. My notes are everywhere. Sorry. Um, because control is an illusion, and and so if we want to be in control, then we have to be able to create an illusion. Okay. And so this illusion is for ourselves and for the other. Um, and the illusion is this, that our perspective is the only perspective that is valid, and our vision is the only vision. So, the one who controls is denying the other their own perspective of reality and conviction of heart and creation through their own consciousness energy of what they, in connection to their soul path and to the evolution of their own heart energy. When our heart energy evolves, um, that means we are driving the consciousness, and we are driving the energy, and we are no longer under energetic programs and patterns. We are entering into heart. Okay. And so when we enter into heart, there needs to be an environment that is supportive and that offers the balanced energetic exchange of trust, which means that both perspectives are accepted. Okay, and through the balancing out of each perspective, we find um, the unity, the oneness, because when I give you the freedom to choose for yourself through your own guidance system, what you choose, the principle by which you choose to live, um, the the expression of heart that you choose to make in this world, and that is freedom. Okay, that is freedom. And so when the for the heart energy, for the evolution of that heart energy to occur, we need to have within the common unity of that heart, that spiritual principle that provides support and acceptance, total acceptance, because we need to accept that within all of us we have inherited both light and shadow. We have both. We have within us the same reflection of we think we have been in positions where we've thought, I'm going to have more power if I don't kind of let that person completely know the truth. Do that. We do things as the collective self, as a reflection of what has been presented as the example of of contract and exchange, that you know we point the finger and we can blame and we can judge, but we need to realize that we in essence are judging ourselves, because within us is that same energetic structure and system that we've been raised in. And so it's not that it's not that I'm saying we've all fallen short of that spiritual principle. Okay, we've all fallen short. Heart evolution is about the evolution of heart energy is about recognizing, yeah, we have, and we are a collective self, and we want to move forward in terms of um, the evolution of the soul energy, and so that actually requires of us to begin to see with the heart, to speak with the heart, to live with the heart, to transmit from the heart. And so that is going to a deep place, and that is going to a spiritual place. Okay, because the heart is connected to the spirit, and it is the spirit of the people that has been crucified, because put to death, let's say, because the spirit, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. The spirit um, is here to be is to find the self. Is to find the self. When you find your spirit, you find yourself, you find your heart, you find your reflection, and you can begin to channel and deeply to energies that are connected to your evolution. You begin to feel the spiritual support, and you begin to move into different energies other than fear. We've done fear for a long time, and resistance and judgment. We've done it for a long time. That cycle is ending. We're coming into a new cycle. And so that's the heart evolution cycle. We have lived under the shadow. We have, in terms of our heart transmission, in terms of our soul energy, in terms of our connection, and all those sorts of things. We've believed illusions, and we have followed flashing lights that have led down paths that led to nowhere. And so part of that heart evolution is recognizing, actually, there is a vision. There is a vision that is deep within us all. We just have to find it. Okay. And that comes through the soul evolution as we begin to release old energies, old patterns of consciousness, old shadows, and we come into more awareness. And to be more spiritual is to be more self-aware. And we can't be more self-aware unless we self-reflect, unless we go, what is my responsibility, and what is my um you know why am I here? When I pray, what is prayer? It is to offer up the self. It's to say, you know, um, I am here as a soul expression of energy on the earth, and I take the directive of that transmission from my higher self. So yeah, and there's times when I get triggered, and I need to self reflect, and I need to offer acceptance. And because through offering acceptance, um, I accept the self. I don't accept the projection. I accept the self, and I accept that the other is in their own stage of evolution. Okay. Um, there's an imbalanced control, and that is what requires the other to take on the position, and identify with um, the reflection that supports the illusion. And I think that we've lived under quite severe expectation to support the illusion, and to empower um, those who speak over us, to make judgments, or to whatever the case may be. Um, we've experienced that imbalanced energetic exchange. It's not based on trust. It's we've felt the perspective of another that has been that is an assault against our own spirit, because they deny how we feel, or what we think, or the perspective. They only want to hold on to their own perspective, and so that means that they're disconnected from you. And so the thing is when the government takes on that pattern, let's say the energetic pattern, then and they're not listening to the balanced perspective of everything. Let's look at the statistics. Let's acknowledge people um, that that choose this principle by which they live, and all that sort of thing. Like, what is going on? What is that? That's an imbalanced energetic exchange. And so we, as the collective, can support the illusion and go, yeah, okay, or we can support the vision. And the vision comes from heart energy, and when we begin to support the vision, we are beginning to support this collective self. And so and so when we begin to support, that there's the interconnected support mechanism, of that, of the collective self. um, we are supporting the vision that makes sense to our soul. So what we need to realize is that when we step into that position where we're no longer supporting the illusion, we are stepping into the position where we are supporting the vision, which is one another. um, then then we present that as from our consciousness and from our energy, as um, the projected perspective of what we want to create. We're going to create that. Then it's up to the governing mind to choose whether um, to connect again, or to completely disconnect. Either way, when we make that decision to move through that heart evolution, then we are making the decision to find our freedom. It's not about resistance, it's not about judgment, it's not about fear. It is about establishing the spiritual principle by which we live. And you know, I think that if if there is a departure from that spiritual principle, and there is more harm being done than good, then that's a sign that um, that old systems and structures and ways of doing things are clearly breaking down. They're no longer supportive of the collective, of the people, of the vision, of the heart energy. And the head needs to be connected to the heart um, for the body to function. Okay. For the house to be strong. Okay. And so it's really important that that we begin to develop that vision. And I think that that vision will come through from many creative intuitives and artistic forms of expression, because we're moving into the spiritual revolution. That's the energy we should be in. Yes, we can wear masks if that is what is required. Yes, we can keep our 2 distance separation. That's fine, as long as we are still in the midst of that, building the vision. Okay, building the vision that makes sense for the people. That makes sense for us. That is the spiritual revolution. Right. So um oh gosh, I don't know. So there we go. That's one. And so in order for the shadow projection to have control, it must be able to position itself as the one that has all the power within the energetic exchange. Okay. Yes, I've read all that. The shadow is cast when the balanced perspective is denied. The shadow is cast when the balanced perspective is denied. And I got this thing come through, and when it's not fair, FAIR, and there's no balance, then that creates fear, which is FEAR. Okay. And so there's a connection there, because the thing is, there are laws that that defend the rights of humanity, and in each perspective is valid, because we all hold different connections to different spiritual energies and cultures and traditions and things like that. And this is um an energetic principle, that to respect um um all peoples in terms of their way of life and their way of connection. And and the more acceptance that we offer to that diversity, and the attitude that we take towards when it is one of full acceptance and inspiration and empowerment, that being different or having a different perspective does not mean that one is right and one is wrong. No, it's just two um a variation of perspective. And of course, we are going to have different perspectives because we live different lives and we're raised in different ways with different um, beliefs about different things, and so within all of that, we develop through our own soul journey. We develop a perspective of if we believe in a spiritual world, we develop that perspective, and we begin to, it's you know I don't like the word believe, because you can believe anything, can't you? And you know and then where do you draw the line? But the thing is, it's there is no line, because we were created to be childlike, to have an imagination, and to play um, with concepts of things, and this kind of energy that's all encompassing, that just sees life um, as this exploration of self, because that's what it is. Um, when we can begin to respond towards um, reflections that give us meaning, and they connect to our heart, and to um, they speak to us. um, they speak to our heart, all those things that we begin to integrate into the self. So when you share the perspective, you are sharing those parts of the self, and we can't fully um, share the self until we are in an environment that we know is safe, that is supportive, that is accepting, that is a place where of non-judgment. Okay. And and so and and so when we begin, we say we want freedom, but then we're terrified of freedom. We say we want power, but then we're terrified of power. And that is because um of the way we've been conditioned. We've been traumatized. And I think it's time now, as the collective self, we've reached the point now where um if we aren't able to collectively create the vision, um we'll all turn on each other, and just craziness. Okay. And that's not what we want. We want to create an environment where we can live together in peace and in harmony, and and where we can trust, and where we can find the balance. Okay. And I think the people are at a stage now where if they don't find the balanced perspective and the energetic exchange of trust, they will find a new leadership. That's what I'm feeling anyway. So, and if that resonates, then please comment, because that is what I'm picking up anyway. I think that we are all searching for to live in peace, and to live um, you know in under that spiritual principle. And so that takes um, governing the self. Okay. We wouldn't need um, a lot of the systems that are set up, um, if we were governing ourselves. crime is a thing. All those things are part of our society because we have not been taught to govern ourselves. We've been taught to fear, to resist, and to judge. Okay. And we can say shame on those ones that do that, but the thing is, it's like, and I'm not justifying it either. um we will be free when we truly govern our own consciousness and our energy, and we embrace our power, and we embrace our freedom. And so with power and with freedom, there's responsibility. You can't have power and freedom without responsibility. That it doesn't work. We have, when we have the ability to respond, that's when we have power. Okay. When we don't have the ability to respond, when we shut down in fear, and we become enraged and um, at the self, you know, or we perceive it to be the other, but it's actually the self. We're angry at ourselves, we're angry at the world, we're angry at our parents, we're fearful of this and that, and it is because we are not governing the self. We are subscribing to energetic patterns of consciousness that come from the governing mind, the government. And so if we want change, um, I want to say the leaders are amongst us. Those who truly lead are the ones that lead with the heart and with the vision. Mm. When we can fully trust the self, the truth of the self, and own what was true for us as a collective, then we can liberate the self to access the creative ability to respond according to the spiritual principle by which we live. The spiritual principle of self acceptance is what will activate the visionary perspective. The spiritual principle of self and self acceptance is what will activate the visionary perspective of interconnected trust. Interconnected trust. Because acceptance we cannot master love until we can accept that the shadow self exists. It exists in all of us. It exists in all of us. And we don't come out of shadows through resistance. Resisting a shadow just holds it in place. Being afraid of the shadow, you know, means that we cannot transcend into higher energies than fear. And judgment is a form of when you make a judgment, it is the beliefs. You are creating what you fear through your own belief of what you perceive that to be. If you're afraid of a person or someone that seems manipulative or dominating, whatever, you make a judgment, and then you that's based upon fear. You know? Then that judgment that you make about them, that it comes back to you because it's based upon the fear that you don't want to own. So when we begin to own our fear and we go, okay, well, what am I afraid of? when we begin to say, okay, well, here you go, fear, have some acceptance. I totally accept that you exist. Have some acceptance, you know, and I accept that. I accept that fear. I accept it totally and completely. And I see it as an invitation to find my courage. And then when I find my courage, then I realize, oh shit, I can transcend this. Yeah, yeah. Because why? Because I've found the new perspective and the new vision of self. See, and then I go, oh wow, it was just a I was just stuck in an energetic exchange that was imbalanced, you know. And that's how we move through shadow. So the principle by which we live is governed by the quality of vision that we develop within the heart. The principle by which we live is governed by the quality of vision we develop or hold within the heart. Okay. So when we are beginning to develop a quality vision, um, then that is what will govern um, the principle by which we live. Because without the vision, people perish. We need to have a vision. And I think I want to say this really quickly. We'll just leave it as at an hour. But um, we perish because there's no vision. We're not presented with a vision. We are presented with the imbalanced energetic exchange, whereby we're given the position um, of supporting the illusion. Okay, and so that makes us feel weak. It makes us feel inadequate. It makes us feel as if we don't know anything. Oh, you know everything. I don't know anything, you know. And so I'll cease to think, and then you can just think for me. I'll cease to feel, and you can just tell me what I'm supposed to be feeling, you know. And so there's a point at which that governance needs to be rebalanced. The balance needs to be restored. Okay. Um, the principle by which we live is governed by the quality of vision that we develop in the heart. So they kind of interact with each other. It's 2:36. The principle which we live by is we create vision upon these principles, and as we begin to discover these spiritual principles, we begin to discover the navigation of our new world. um, yeah, the evolution of heart energy will recognize the imbalances that have been created within our collective soul energy, and um, that have come from the shadow projection of our world. This shadow projection is the energetic structures and systems that reflect fear of judgment, or fear, resistance, judgment. And so we often conform because we are afraid of being judged. And what is judgment? I explained it before. If someone is judging you, what they are doing is um, they're activating the their own fears and the belief around those fears when they're making that judgment. Okay, and so this creates it creates illusions. It creates the illusionary self. We're all if we're all in fear resistance, if we're all trying to hide in fear resistance and in judgment of one another and of ourselves, then we are we are living under the projected reality of illusion. Okay, we're not taught to live by love and the higher perspective of trust, because we're not accustomed to the engage to an engagement. So we are not accustomed to engaging in a form of trust that is built upon the balanced energetic exchange. We're not accustomed to it. Um, we're not accustomed to it. We are so um, because the um, the way things are broadcast is very subtle but very clever in a way, because it taps into all these programs that are already within us of fear and of resistance. Oh no, we can't let that happen. We've got to take control. And what is that? That's an illusion. What, control what? If something's going to happen, it's going to happen. And so we're trying to control out of fear, and we're resisting certain things. No, that can't happen. um we're going to make sure that this doesn't happen, and so then we're focused on that not happening, and trying to take control, and it makes us more weak. It doesn't. Where is the control center? Okay, we've been taught that having control is something that's having control over something outside of ourselves. We're locked into that reality, external reality. No, um, control is something that is. It's not about. We have control when we're completely surrendered. When we've completely surrendered and accepted everything, as it is, what it is. That then we can allow for ourselves to get in the driver's seat and go, okay, well, I am the consciousness and I am the energy, and we begin to cultivate and to build the energetic structures and systems and patterns of consciousness. We begin to build that. That is the house. It's built from the idea, from the imagination, from the consciousness, and from the energy that's put into it. Okay, and the true leaders are those that take the vision and then translate it into a reality. Okay, and so those are the kind of two paradigms that we're dealing with here. And when we can accept this, when we can surrender to it and accept it, it's it's counterintuitive, isn't it? I think Jesus said, if you cannot gain life until you lose it. and and sort of this whole paradigm that um, it's the opposite. It may seem backwards, but that's because we haven't lived um, under those spiritual principles for some time. And uh, it that we have to shift in our consciousness, and and then through that consciousness shift, then the energy shifts, because they're kind of connected. And so what we want to be doing is, as a spiritual community, which is the common unity of the spiritual principle, we want to be moving out of old energetic patterns of fear and of resistance and judgment. And we can't do that until we provide the environment by which we can do that, and connect as a people. So I really think that that's the next step in this heart evolution. And so I'm going to release this video, and I'm going to put another little meditation as an end screen if you want to go in to that. um, I'll choose one and pop it on there. um, but yes, I think once we understand energetically and spiritually, from a spiritual perspective, the dynamics of what is going on, then we can create the dynamic that we want the governing mind to reflect. Yeah, and I think that can only ever be created if we can get beyond the shadows, come out of the shadows, come out of those old identifications and judgments and fears and resistances, because um, as a collective, we want to begin to create the spiritual communities that are not based on any religion or any um, sacred teacher or whatever, that it embraces all, and that we all learn from one another. The basic spiritual principles are the same. Okay. And so when we can all get on board that train, then that train of consciousness, then we can enter new paradigms and new patterns and dynamics, that support life and support future generations, that support Earth and support our collective, our collective. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you've found something helpful within this transmission, because it is a transmission. And yeah, just be sure to listen to that heart of yours, because heart energy is yeah, it is transformational when we can begin to understand the heart magic and how it works. So blessings, love, and light. This is Moonlight Mystic. Namaste. And done.